again, I think the Nets will be fine if they can get somebody who's going to challenge them. I don't know who their leader is, right? Is it Kyrie? Is it Harden? Is it KD when he's out there? I don't know. And the Cavs literally and defensively just were eating them up and getting anything they wanted. And look at that. Just people are just
okay.
Oh, come on, man. Come on. The Cavs are a very solid team, but if the Nets want to win a championship, you can't be getting outplayed like this.
And it is tricky, guys. You know, it's the same team that you're playing back-to-back. Cleveland gained a lot of confidence with the last win against Brooklyn.
It is. I mean, you have two guys, Taurean Prince and also Jared Allen, he's telling the coaching staff every play, every call, which they already know. And then you can tell Jared Allen had a little extra these last two games for the Brooklyn Nets.
A little chip on his shoulder.
Oh, for sure.
There's the win, 125-113. Again, Sexton with 25 and 9 assists. Drummond with another double-double, 19 and 16. For the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie Irving led the way with 38 points. James Harden had 19 points, 11 assists. So we're going to listen to hear what James Harden and head coach Steve Nash had to say after the game.
I feel like we're getting open shots. Honestly, our problem is an offense. Like, we scored 113 points tonight, and even last game was more than enough to win the game. I think defensively we have to be more engaged, and we have to round up some more stops consecutively, and that'll make our offense a lot better. So offensively, we're not worried at all. It's our defense.
We got a lot of things to work on. There's a lot to clean up. It's very early. Like I said, it's relatively new. Having Kai back after 2 weeks, James joining the team, Kevin sitting out tonight. It's a lot thrown at us. So, I don't want to overreact, but we are going to urge the guys to clean up as much as we can the hustle areas, but also schematically just continue to refine and get better. And you know how this league is. A few days ago, we were on a 4-game winning streak, and now we underperformed in 2 games. So we got to find a way to get ourselves, playing a little cleaner, a little sharper, and trying to clean up some of these categories that we're not competing well enough in.
It's interesting to hear their perspective. The first thing out of James Harden's mouth is that offense is not a problem. I don't think anyone's ever accused them of having an offensive problem. But anyway, Smitty, let's talk a little Cleveland because they've had some success. Head coach J.B. Bickerstaff has done a terrific job instilling a new culture in this team. Colin Sexton has seemed to excel, especially here lately. Your thoughts on his play?
Well, Colin, I've been knowing this young fella since born and raised here in Atlanta. I've been watching him play for so long. He's always played extremely hard. You watched him in high school, I did, and then you got a chance to watch him in college and also in his first year in the league. I think for him is now he's understanding how to slow down offensively. But what I love is I'm looking at his turnovers. Only 1 turnover tonight to 9 assists. A 9-to-1 turnover ratio is fantastic. He's more of a scoring point guard. But one thing he can do right now is get some guys some easier looks, and he will compete defensively. That's the one thing I love about young bull, and I like what they're doing. And I will say, J.B. Bickerstaff is not getting enough credit. You've had all these trades, you got all these young guys, and if you look at their record right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers is 8-7. The Brooklyn Nets are 9-8.
It says something. So does this stat about Colin Sexton. First player in Cavs history to score 20 or more points in each of his first 10 games of the season. That is impressive, people.
Yes, it is.
All right, Channing Frye, we have not forgotten you. We are not leaving you out. The other side of this equation of this basketball game is the Brooklyn Nets. We've talked about them. We are going to continue to talk about them, obviously, with their big 3. Kevin Durant out due to rest. You know, he's got the Achilles injury that he's still trying to make sure it doesn't come back and haunt him. But they still should be good enough to beat most teams, right?
You would think so. But I think they don't have an emotional leader, right? You have a guy who's an MVP, James Harden, who I think is super skilled, super amazing, obviously has, defensive questions. Kyrie, who's coming back from his time off, whether that was mental health or whatever that issue was. And then they have a depleted bench and guys that are coming in there that were 3rd and 4th string guys that are now having to play, extended period of time. But what I look at them is like, who's their emotional leader? Who gets mad when they mess up on defense or don't make the extra pass or don't run the play correctly? They don't have one of those guys, right? And I think, again, you're asking so much of DeAndre Jordan to go out there and be the center, and then you're asking Perry to come out there, and you're like, the game is moving pretty fast for him. And so for me, there's a lot of variables going into why they've had their struggles lately, and the Cavs just don't match up with him. And I watched the Cavs went in a zone, and we were talking about this, and you would think James Harden, one of the best shooter in the league, Kyrie, one of the best shooters in the league, they got Shamet. They have shooters, and yet no one can make shots in a zone. It's like people go in zone for teams that can't make shots. So for me, it's them getting used to each other, and that, again, emotionally, every single game needs to be important. Who's that guy, whether he's playing 5 minutes or 35 minutes, that can yell at James Harden, Kyrie, and KD and say, hey, pick it up on defense. This tonight matters.
It's a great point, Channing, because what you said I thought was important, whether they play 5 minutes or 35 minutes, because your verbal and emotional leader does not have to be your leading scorer or your best player.
Correct.
It has to be someone who your teammates respect. So when they say it, everyone listens. Very good point by you, Channing. All right, we're going to move on to, you're very welcome. We're going to move on to another game. Boston, Philadelphia. This has turned into quite something, even though it's early in the year, because of the format of the scheduling in the NBA. Teams are playing each other back-to-back situations. It makes for some heated, elevated, physical play. And this series, I'm going to call it that loosely, is no exception. Marcus Smart and Joel Embiid actually had some comments.
It's tough. It is tough, especially when, we got our hands up a lot of the times and, he flails and he gets the call.
I mean, I'm sure he knows himself and he knows his game too. He does a lot of that.
And to the highlight, Joel Embiid coming off of a 42-point game against the Celtics. Seth Curry's first game back after missing 7 games due to COVID. And how did things start off?
Okay, Seth. Walk right back in the gym knocking down threes.
It's in his blood. Kemba Walker back in action.
Yeah, he's going to be special for Boston. He's another guy you could just give him the rock, and he could give you 12 to 14 important winning baskets.
Kemba Walker makes the right play all the time and really good at the rim.
He is, for his height, understands angles, quick, and there's, okay, Joel Embiid, little dream shake a little bit.
Footwork.
Man, this kid right here, Jaylen Brown, Channing.
Good.
It is
so good.
And still not lose his defensive principles. That's what I love. That's a block.
Let's talk about somebody. I don't know what Doc Rivers told Joel Embiid, but Joel Embiid, to me, is the front runner for MVP this year. That's a spicy take. But Joel Embiid is finally doing what everyone expected him to do. He just now has the confidence and the body